Welcome. You've probably clicked on this video wanting to know the secret to enjoying gaming again. But the truth is, there isn't really a secret. Gaming is such an incredible medium, from the stories, the characters, the music, the art, even the worlds that we get to explore. And very simply, the fun that can be had with it. For a lot of us, gaming has been a huge part of our lives. And for me, it definitely has. But as life changes, the way we experience gaming changes with it. I'm a father of a 2-year-old, which is crazy to say out loud, which obviously comes with its own challenges. And I work 45 plus hours a week. So between work, family, responsibilities, and just trying to find a bit of time for myself, gaming has become something I have a lot less time for than I used to. And well, there is the money things, of course. Games aren't exactly getting any cheaper, and when you have less time to play, spending £60 to £70 on a game you might only get to play for a few hours can feel a little bit like quite a big commitment. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't change my life for the world. Being a dad is something I wouldn't trade for anything, but I've started to realise that I really do need to invest a little bit more time into something that I personally love. Because just like many of you, gaming has changed my life in so many ways. Growing up, games meant so much to me. They were an escape, a way to explore, a way to experience stories that I couldn't anywhere else. And sometimes they were simply something to look forward to after a long day. But somewhere along the way, I think I started losing some of that feeling. And maybe you can relate. When you have limited time to play, you want to make sure you're spending that time on the right game. And so you sit there scrolling through your library, you look at your backlog, you watch trailers, you look at reviews, you check what everyone else is playing, and somehow after all of that, you end up playing the same games you've played a dozen times because, well, they're familiar. You know what you're doing, you know the controls, you know the story, you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you just want comfort. But for me, I'm starting to realize that when everything becomes too familiar, gaming starts to feel like a routine. And I think one of the things we can lose as we get older is that feeling of discovery. When you were a kid, almost everything was new. You'd pick up a game and have absolutely no idea what you were doing. You'd be discovering mechanics for yourself, you'd get lost, you'd make mistakes, you'd figure things out, and there was something really special about that. You weren't worrying about whether the game was a 7 or 9 or 10 out of 10. You weren't thinking about whether it was worth your time. You weren't watching 10 videos telling you why the game was amazing or terrible before you even played it. You were just playing. And I think that's something we can try to get back to. Maybe the answer isn't finding the perfect game. Maybe it's finding a game that makes you feel like you're discovering something again. And that might mean stepping outside of your normal play. Like if you're someone that's into action games, try a JRPG. If you love playing shooters, try a platformer. If you like massive open worlds, try a short and linear story. Competitive multiplayer, try a single player story game. Just try something completely different, and I know that can be very difficult, especially with the limited time that we all have, because the temptation is always there to play something you already know and enjoy. But I think there's something really rewarding about giving a completely unfamiliar game a chance, and it might take a few hours to click. You might not understand the mechanics straight away. You might even think, I don't know if this is for me, but with a little bit of patience, which is probably something everyone's familiar to with having little ones running around, you might suddenly find yourself hooked. And maybe just for a moment, you get that feeling back. That feeling of playing something new for the first time and genuinely not knowing where it's going to take you. Also, on the other hand, another thing I wanted to note, that something in particular I'm obviously guilty of is because of YouTube. And that's constantly being told what we should be playing. Every new release becomes an event. A game comes out and suddenly everyone is rushing to finish it. You have reviews going up, you have rankings, you have videos explaining the ending, you have people telling you whether the game is a masterpiece or a disaster, and everyone just seems to be racing to complete it before they get spoiled. And I, completely understand why. I'm guilty of it too, but sometimes I think if we forget that games aren't a race, it can, do you a lot better than harm. Recently, I've taken my time with a certain game, and that probably would have taken me a few days to complete quite a few years ago. This time round, it took me a couple of weeks to complete, but honestly, I enjoyed it so much more because I wasn't rushing. I wasn't thinking about finishing it so I could move on to the next thing. I wasn't worried about what everyone else was saying about it. I was just playing the game and enjoying it. And that's something I've really started to appreciate. Because for years, I think I experienced games through other people's eyes way too often. I just watched reviews, heard someone talk about a character, heard someone say the ending was incredible or disappointing. And even if I didn't really realize it at the time, those opinions would start shaping, my own opinion. I'd go into a game already having an idea of what I'm supposed to think about it. But then you slow down and experience something for yourself, it becomes yours. Your favorite character might not be the character everyone else loves. Your favorite part might be a section nobody talks about. You might absolutely love a game that everyone else, seems to hate. And I think that's the beauty of experiencing games for yourself. You don't have to agree with everyone. You don't have to finish a game in a weekend. You don't have to play every major release. You don't even have to play games that are considered must-plays. You can just play games that make you happy. And maybe that sounds obvious, but I think it's something a lot of us need reminding of. Because when you have less time, it's easy to feel like you need to make every minute count. And that can actually take some of the enjoyment out of things. Especially, what we all used to love, gaming. Sometimes you need to give yourself permission to play badly, to get stuck, to wander around aimlessly, and, to replay something you love. Or to even put a game down because you're just not feeling it. And equally, give yourself permission to try something new, completely different. Because gaming doesn't have to be about keeping up. It doesn't have to be about playing everything. It doesn't have to be about having the biggest backlog or knowing every release date. Maybe gaming can just be about finding those little moments that remind you why you fell in love with it in the first place. And for me, I think that's why I'm trying to find it again. Not necessarily more time, but because I don't think I'm suddenly going to have another 6 hours every evening to sit down and play games. My life has changed and that's okay. But the time I do have, I want to make it count. I want to stop endlessly scrolling through my library. I want to stop worrying about what everyone else is playing. I want to stop the feeling like I'm behind. I want to start discovering games again. Because maybe the secret to enjoying gaming again isn't the perfect game. Maybe it's simply allowing yourself to experience games on your own terms again. Take your time. Try something different. Put the internet down for a little while and let yourself be surprised. Because that feeling we had when we were kids, that feeling of discovery, the new world for the very first time, might not actually be gone. Maybe it's just buried underneath everything else. And maybe we all need to do is give ourselves the time and patience to find it again. So if you're feeling the same way, maybe tonight, instead of loading up the games you've already played hundreds of times, pick something completely different. Give it an hour and see where it takes you. You might just find something you didn't know you were looking for. Thanks for watching.